Strong you guys can come to this line. The deployment of 700 Marines, along with a further 2,000 National Guard members, to Los Angeles has been authorized by U.S. President Donald Trump after protests against stepped-up immigration enforcement continued. A convoy of 10 to 15 buses, with blacked-out windows, escorted by sheriff's vehicles, was seen leaving a military base in the California desert in the early hours of the morning, heading closer to the city. The additional National Guard deployment brings the number of troops to around 4,000, despite protests on Monday being much more peaceful than the days before. Trump defended his decision to deploy the troops, claiming California leadership had been afraid of doing anything to tackle unrest. You had a disaster happening, and they now admit it was a disaster. I watched the chief yesterday, who's a good man, by the way, and he said, well, we're lucky we did this, because they would have. They were overwhelmed. You saw what was happening, so we did the right thing. Everybody agrees to that. But officials in LA have disagreed with Trump's approach, pushing back against the deployment of troops and federal intervention, calling it a deliberate attempt to create disorder and chaos. It was very predictable what was going to happen here, and it was completely unnecessary. I would say, stop the raids, period. I would say, give the power back to our governor. And if we need the National Guard, we can do it in under normal circumstances, which is, the request is made local, and the governor decides or not to grant that to our city. Pushback has even gone so far as to prompt California Attorney General Rob Bonter to file a lawsuit against the Trump administration, claiming it had trampled the state's sovereignty. The protests in Los Angeles, while intense, have also been brief and have been relatively small when compared to the city as a whole, where life has largely continued as normal. Solidarity protests have been held in other major cities by union members in New York and Boston, and protesters standing off against police in Dallas and Austin. We're fine over here.